Dear global citizen scholars, welcome to our closing ceremony today. We are very happy that we can all gather, and it's a privilege and pleasure for me to introduce to you a stellar lineup of speakers that will hopefully give the deserved credit for your hard work, but also for the inspiration that you have given us and received from one another to you in the course of the next, let's say, roughly 90 minutes. You know, I'm Monika Fröhler. I'm the CEO of the Ban Ki-moon Center, and we were very proud to have you all as part of our this year's Global Citizenship Scholarship cohort. Now, the cohort has been, I think, a bit different than others that we had before. We are currently in times of change, and I would like to consider you guys to be a team of change. And why do I say that? You were different because you were 17. We didn't ever have such a big cohort before. And you were 17 like the 17 SDGs that you closely worked with and for. Now, this was not possible without our incredible partners. And you know, goal number 17 stands for the partnership of the goals. And our partners were first and foremost, of course, RELEX, without which this program would not have been possible. And we are very happy to have Alexis with us today as a representative of the program. And we are hoping that Marcia Balisciano will also join us. They were incredibly important for making the program happen. Secondly, MCI was also incredibly important. And we are happy that two of our global citizen scholars this year actually study at MCI. MCI is the Management Center Innsbruck, located in Austria, and we are hopeful for a closer collaboration even with MCI in the next year. And we are thankful that they are represented today here with us as well by their rector, Andreas Altmann, who will also have the floor later on. And then, as you all know, dear global citizen scholars, this would not have happened without the University of Bordeaux. And Stephanie Debet, it's wonderful to see you again with us. We know your schedule is absolutely tense and crazy, but we are very, very thankful that you have helped us to make this program happen. Now, dear global citizen scholars, there will be lots coming up in this program, but I don't want to talk too long. It's just that I want to give you from the bottom of my heart my best wishes and congratulations on this closing ceremony. The team was different, as I said before, because several of you really grasped the opportunity tremendously well that was given by this scholarship to you. Some of you excelled with your SDG microprojects. Some of you excelled in the summer school in Bordeaux. Some of you really made best use of the mentorship opportunity that you had. Some probably did less in one or the other respect, but it's very much it was up to you, and it was the keys that were given to you that hopefully opened a couple of new doors for your future. Now, without much further ado, I want to give the floor to our first honorable guest speaker, Dr. Heinz Fischer. He is the co-chair of the Ban Ki-moon Center, and he also was the 11th president of the Republic of Austria. It is our distinct honor to welcome him today live with us to give his remarks for the closing ceremony. Dear Heinz Fischer, the floor, once the hand is gone, is yours. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Monika, for your introduction and for your moderation. Dear Marcia Balisciano and Mrs. Alexis Stedman from RELEX, dear Mr. Professor Altmann from MCI, whom I know very well, and I send him my best wishes, and Madame Professor Debet from University de Bordeaux, dear global citizens and dear friends. It fills me with great joy each time I have the opportunity to join the Global Citizen Scholarship closing ceremony and address young change makers from truly around the world. Today, we are celebrating the ending of the 5th Global Citizenship Scholarship of the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens. I fondly remember the year 2018, when we hosted our very first Global Citizen Scholarship during the European Forum Alpbach in Tyrol. These were different times. no one had ever heard of COVID-19, and no one had expected a war on European turf. As you can see, a lot of changes have happened since then. I'm incredibly proud that despite these challenges, we have been able to host a new cohort of global citizen scholars every year, even if the program had to be adapted to take place virtually because of pandemic. The Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens is grateful to RELEX Group, represented by our dear board member Marcia Balisiano and Alexis Stedman, who have been steady supporters of the program since the year 2020. In 2022, we were able to create yet another enriching virtual learning experience for 17 scholars, together with our partners at the University of Bordeaux and the Management Center in Innsbruck, Tyrol. Let me express particular thanks to Professor Stéphanie Debet from the University of Bordeaux and Professor Altmann, Andreas Altmann, from the Management Center Innsbruck for equipping this year's scholarship with a prestigious academic training, elevating the knowledge and skills of our scholars. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, this year our 17 scholars came from Ethiopia, Ghana, Kenya, Morocco, Nigeria, and the Philippines, and implemented 17 SDG micro projects in their respective communities. Thanks to our partners at RELEX, we were able to support their project with small seed funding grants of €500 each to ensure that the projects could be properly implemented. Nevertheless, it is passion rather than money that makes these SDG micro projects successful. Our 17 scholars have proven that their passion to act for the SDGs is really beyond measurement. With this, I would like to turn to you, dear scholars. Looking back and reflecting on the numerous activities that took place as a part of your scholarship, I have no doubt that all of you have what it takes to be change makers for the SDGs and for the Paris Climate Agreement. Your unshakable dedication, creativity, and innovative thinking gives reason for hope for a sustainable, just, and peaceful future for all. I encourage you to stay connected to each other and keep inspiring, empowering one another, because only together we can achieve the objectives of the 2030 Agenda. At the Ban Ki-moon Center, it is our mission to create platforms for you and fellow changemakers to make your demands heard and support you in taking action for the SDGs. And it is our vision to see you in the role as leaders of your communities, paving the way towards a just and prosperous future for all, leaving no one behind. I wish you all the best for your future and hope that you stay in touch with the whole Ban Ki-moon Center family. I thank you for your attention, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a healthy and peaceful New Year. Thank you very much, and all the best for your future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fischer, for your kind remarks and wise words. I hope that many of you see that lots of hope is put into you. Lots of hope is put into you as leaders of your respective communities, of the fields of expertise that you now already try to explore with your micro projects. The next speaker that we have, before we eventually really turn then the floor to you sooner than later, is Alexis Steadman, Global Community Manager of the RELX Group. Alexis is the representative of the entity that made this scholarship possible at all. So we thank RELX for the financial support that has been granted to make this a reality. And you have to imagine that Alexis joined RELX in 2019 to lead RELX Cares. It is their global community program supporting employee volunteering and giving. And of course, the goal of that is to make a positive impact. And she has been really very much our counterpart for all of you scholars and represents, therefore, RELX, the major donor behind this program. Alexis, over to you.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you for that introduction and for asking me to say a few words today. And thank you, Dr. Fischer, for your opening remarks and for your good wishes for the scholars. As Monica said, I work for RELX and I'm the global lead of our community program, RELX Cares, and I joined just before the pandemic in September 2019. And we're hugely proud to be the sponsors of the Global Citizens Scholarship Programme. And I think this was our third year of being sponsors, and it's been wonderful to see the impact the programme has made and to watch the programme grow and change over those 3 years. RELX, we're a global company. We've got 33,000 employees all over the world, and we see corporate responsibility as integral to the way that we work. It isn't a programme or a set of activities. It's the way that we do business. And we focus on our unique contributions as a business and look at where we can make positive impacts through our knowledge and our resources and our skills. And these unique contributions include universal sustainable access to information, advance of science and health, protection of society, and promotion of the rule of law. And we're really proud of our work to further the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And we do this in a few ways. And one of the ways is through our SDG Resource Centre, which I know some of the scholars have used for their micro projects. And it features thousands of pieces of free content from across RELX and all of our divisions. And it can help all of our users of the site drive forward the SDGs. And we also run our annual SDG Inspiration Day. We've been lucky that both Dr. Fischer and Secretary Ban have spoken at both of these events on more than one occasion. And these are a chance for us to highlight the work that we and others are doing to forward the SDGs. And we bring together all of our stakeholders and thought leaders to debate how together we can further the SDGs. And we look forward to welcoming all the alumni from the programme onto our SDG days in the coming years. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from all the scholars today about what they've achieved. I just wanted to finish by wishing you all a huge congratulations on behalf of RELX and good luck for the future. We know you're all going to go on to achieve great things, and I'm looking forward to hearing everything that you've done so far. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Alexis, for your words. And it is now my privilege and pleasure to introduce to you the rector of the Management Center Innsbruck, Andreas Altmann. He has been an inspiration to us and hopefully will also be an inspiration to you. We are very glad that MCI, his Management Center Innsbruck, actually sponsored 2 stellar scholars this year. One of them is Benedicta, the other one is Kayla. And Kayla put even more sort of diversity into the mix because Kayla comes from the Philippines, and people who are looking at this scholarship program say, okay, interesting, you have African students, but then also someone from Asia. And we say, yes, absolutely, that was made possible thanks to MCI. MCI will be a key partner for us in the next year, in 2023, and we are very much looking forward to collaborating ever more closely with you. But Andreas, over to you for your closing remarks.
Dear Chief Executive Monica Fröhler, dear President Fischer, dear friends in the different institutions, and especially dear scholars, I have the privilege to be, that the gratitude is being expressed to the MCI, and I would like to just turn it the other way around. Actually, it is the MCI being very, very grateful that we have this opportunity to welcome and host such brilliant scholars, and to contribute to at least a small extent to this great vision and mission of achieving and pursuing the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, what I would like to mention, and really to try to keep it brief, is I think President Fischer has already mentioned it in a very clear and convincing way. It's obviously a matter of resources. It's obviously a matter of finance. It's obviously also a matter of organization and management and different things. But what it is all about, it is about passion. Yeah. And it is about passion, and it is about mission, and it is about willingness to achieve something and to stand together. And that is why we have been enjoying so much to host brilliant scholars, and based on this vision and mission, to also create a community, which we think is very, very important to create a global community. And to create, and this is perhaps very much the mission of the Entrepreneurial School of MCI, to create impact. And, you know, in the academic scene, in the academic landscape, impact is very much focused on publications. Nothing against research publications addressing the scientific community. Very important to be understood well. But impact should also have an impact on society. It should have an impact on the economy. It should have an impact on community. It should have an impact, and so on. This is where we come to the Sustainable Development Goals. And I very much look forward to hearing the outcomes and the perceptions of our global scholars. And I express my strong willingness to further contribute to this wonderful program. And even if it is still requested after the experiences you've been making with the MCI, and even enlarge our contribution.
That is music to our ears. Dear Andreas Altmann, thank you so much. Scholars, you're witnessing now how partnerships can grow when both parties are convinced about the quality and the good relationships, and that really something actionable is produced. And thanks goes to you guys, because you have made that happen. Thank you, Andreas. Let me now introduce our dear Stephanie de Bette, Director of Bordeaux Population Health Research Center of the University of Bordeaux. Again, she has been a driving force behind this program. We are very, very happy, Stephanie, that for years now we could count on your support. And we are very impressed by the career steps that you have taken. Again, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to pass the floor to Stephanie de Bette.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, Monika. Your Excellency, President Fischer, dear Monika Fröhler, dear Ban Ki-moon Center team, dear Ms. Stedman, dear Professor Altmann, dear scholars, ladies and gentlemen. Well, first of all, I would like to extend my thanks to the wonderful opportunity to represent again the University of Bordeaux, and this time perhaps specifically the Bordeaux Population Health Research Center and the Bordeaux Summer School team for today's ceremony. It's really an honor and great pleasure for me to take part in again in this very special closing event for this new edition of the prestigious Global Citizen Scholarship Program. The collaboration with you started in my previous position, as you mentioned, Monika, Vice President for External Relations at the University of Bordeaux. And I can't say enough how much the encounter with you, with former Secretary General Ban and President Fischer, with you, Monika, and the Ban Ki-moon Center team has been really a major source of inspiration for myself. Long-lasting impact, I have to say, given a broader scale meaning and perspective to our university's historical commitment to addressing societal challenges. And so we are very grateful for the opportunities that the Ban Ki-moon Center has offered us to, since our encounter, to contribute at our level, let's say, to activities around global engagement and for supporting also activities as part of the University Alliance, European University Alliance, pardon me, and for supporting us through, Monica, your position in the external advisory board of this alliance, and also by launching the first edition of the Global Health Leadership Program for Women. That was a really important part of the University Alliance Enlight. So the present partnership on the prestigious Global Citizen Scholarship Program has been a particularly enriching experience for the University of Bordeaux. There have been several editions now, and I will say a few words afterwards of why this particular edition this year has been a little different. You already pointed out the differences early on, but this partnership, I would like to highlight, has been from inception strongly linked specifically with the activities of the Bordeaux Population Health Research Center that I recently took the direction of, and particularly through the person of Joanna Owen-Gleeman and her colleagues, who have been leading for several years the Bordeaux Summer School on Sustainable African Cities. So it's an interdisciplinary summer school, but obviously the impact on health has always been quite important in this program. In fact, the first one that we collaborated on was centered around the impact of the COVID pandemic. It wasn't planned that way, but it was, let's say, adapted to the situation. So this online summer school, which has been going on for some years, is designed, in fact, for students and professionals who are involved and interested in sustainable development at large in Africa, and especially the challenges that face African cities with a strong focus on their impact on health, as I just mentioned. And so this year's program was also embedded in a larger research program funded by the University of Bordeaux's Initiative of Excellence, which is called EPORA, that had some interdisciplinary and policy-oriented insights into population dynamics, pollution issues, and nutrition. And there were eminent lecturers from universities of Abidjan, Addis Ababa, Rabat, and also as a keynote speaker, the former Minister of Health of Ivory Coast, Professor Henry Yeoman. So this edition was a special one because of the new format. As you mentioned, Monica, the number of scholars was larger, and I hadn't noticed there was this magic number of 17, but from our side, it was also a little bit different because half of the scholars were taking part in a tutored group work, and the other half were working together on SDGs and provided updates on their achievements. And there were so 4 tutored working groups. There were 4 particular programs. So one was around green infrastructures, the other one was around food production, a third one was around techniques or approaches to decrease indoor and outdoor air pollution. And there was a 4th one on assessing the social and legal rights status of informal settlers in cities. So quite a new format, and overall it was a wonderful experience, I have to convey, from the Bordeaux Summer School team. And we will hear now about the outstanding work of the scholars around this whole program, their experiences. But I would like to really warmly thank the scholars and congratulate them on the wonderful work that they have conducted, and their excellent investment and commitment. You have all left a very strong impression on the Bordeaux Summer School team by your dedication to sustainable development, your global engagement, your enthusiasm and professionalism, your communication skills. We very much hope that this experience was also enriching and constructive for you. And we wish you all the very best in your very promising career, as was already said. And last but not least, I would like to extend particular thanks to the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens team, President Fischer, Monica Fröhler, to Viola Christian as well, who has been leading this program, for having enabled this inspiring collaboration. This partnership really means a lot to us, and we hope to be able also to find ways to support some way an extension of our contribution to this collaboration in the near future. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Stephanie. Wonderful. And yes, indeed, dear scholars, I think all of us can not only thank the partners that have spoken, but also particularly Viola Christian, who was the mastermind behind the program and who will lead us actually through the second part of the program. And for now, all those of you who need to switch off your screen or even need to leave, particularly I'm thinking of the speakers, please do so. I would like to continue soon enough to give the floor to Viola, but to just accredit to you, dear scholars, the amazing width, breadth, and depth of the various projects that you have implemented. I have read lots about it. I've seen that you have been active on waste management, on skills training, on unemployment. You have been working on plastic pollution. You have worked even on sexual reproductive rights. You have worked on mobility. You have worked on cooking. You have worked on indigenous communities. There was also a project on clean water. So it was extremely different. And yet it all made sense under the umbrella of the SDGs. And watch out, you will be introduced to projects of your fellows soon enough, of your other scholars, and watch out because many of them are very inspiring. So with this, Viola, over to you to lead us through the recap of the Global Citizen Scholarship Program 2022.
Thank you so much, Monica. Thank you so much, dear partners, dear scholars. It's such a pleasure to speak to you and to guide you today through our closing ceremony to really celebrate you and your amazing achievements. I was in the privileged position to be constantly in touch with you and accompany you through this experience as a Global Citizen Scholar 2022, our anniversary edition. It's our 5th anniversary of the Global Citizen Scholarship, and we're tremendously proud that we can celebrate this moment with you. So to give our audience, because we are on live stream today, so the public can also see your amazing achievements, I would like to give the audience also a little recap of your scholarship and what it was all about. So let's go a bit into the content. So we have 17 goals, as Monica was already stating, and we had these amazing 17 scholars from Kenya, Morocco, Ghana, Ethiopia, and as Monica was already alluding to, Nigeria, thanks to MCI, and the Philippines, thanks to MCI as well. An amazing group, very diverse, men and women all together, and it was really beautiful to see your community build in the virtual world, but also hopefully connecting through real, meaningful friendships. These are you, that's you, all our amazing scholars, all of them depicted here. They're now a community, and we're just proud to see you, flourishing into the amazing SDG professionals that you will become and already are actually. So let's dig into the timeline, what you have been through in the past 6 months. We kicked off the Global Citizen Scholarship in April with a kickoff call so that you all could get to know each other. It was really nice. At this point, I wasn't even able to connect with you. It was still my former colleague who was in touch with you, but it was I just know from experience and from what I've heard, it was really magical to bring you all in one spot and bring you together for this Global Citizen Scholarship. Next up was, as Stephanie Debet was already speaking about, was a summer school with the University of Bordeaux. An amazing experience for all of you. And I would actually like to hear from one of you to hear also what your experience was like in this summer school so that we also hear a bit from you. So I would like to ask Shalom, who was volunteering to give us a little bit of a recap of your experience as summer school participant, and let us know what is your main key takeaway of this summer school and your experience being a summer school student at Bordeaux. Shalom, over to you.
Thank you, Viola, for giving me the stage. My connection is unusually lower today, but it's fine with audio only. Okay, first and foremost, I would like to thank His Excellency, Dr. Hans Fischer, Monica Freuler, Dr. Marcia Baliciano, and all the speakers and panelists for their valuable contribution to our scholarships on SDG 11, Sustainable City and Community. Before embarking on our SDG micro project, I and the other DC scholars attended the Bordeaux Summer School for a week of intensive academic training for our scholarship on sustainable African cities. The summer school was intense, enlightening, and interactive. We've had the privilege of learning about the UN Sustainable Development Goals in relation to sustainability of African cities, about African population dynamics, about migration, about pollution, transportation, and the political economy of food crisis, among other things. The program had an interdisciplinary approach with professors, researchers, and representatives from the Ministry of Health of Cote d'Ivoire and the Ban Ki-moon Center taking part to provide deeper insights into sustainability. The scholars were divided into two groups, a tutored group that worked on the sustainability of African food systems, air pollution, and transportation, and the other group that participated on a special session on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. The academic training provided by the Bordeaux University and the Ban Ki-moon Center was comprehensive and provided all of us with a fundamental grasp of sustainability and what it takes to build a sustainable city and community, which we later applied and incorporated into our SDG micro project. The summer school gave us the opportunity to engage and network with one another, as well as introduced us to other bright change makers and experts who helped us with our SDG micro projects. Once again, on behalf of the 2022 GC Scholars, I would like to convey my heartfelt gratitude to the Ban Ki-moon Center, the Bordeaux University, and the MCI for providing us with this opportunity. This is the type of opportunity that most African youth seek, and I'm sure the rest of the GC Scholars feel the same way also. Thank you, Viola. This is all from me.
Thank you so much, Shalom, for giving us a glimpse into your experience being part of the Bordeaux Summer School. It's very nice to hear about the interdisciplinary approach, because that's really what the SDGs are all about, taking, knowledge from all different disciplines and putting it together. So thanks for that, Shalom. After the summer school in Bordeaux, we also gave you the opportunity to participate in the RELX Inspiration Day in May, followed by a capacity building on project management that was held by the Ban Ki-moon Center. You were then entrusted to submit a proposal for your respective SDG micro projects, so the projects that you would be working on for the following 6 months. And another expert workshop that was held by Marcia Baliciano, our board member, and she's the group head of RELX on corporate social responsibility. She held an amazing workshop on the topic of what do businesses have to do with the Sustainable Development Goals. Very important topic. As well as MCI was participating in the program, of course. We had an amazing workshop, seminar led by our dear partner Regina Obexa on the topic of responsible management. And once again, thank you very much, MCI, for making this possible. In the end, we're now here in December, and you're about to submit your SDG micro project reports and video pitches. And throughout these 6 months, you were really dedicated to these SDG micro projects, but you were also paired up with mentors. The Ban Ki-moon Center provided each and every one of you a mentor to talk to discuss your SDG micro projects with, and to receive, hands-on guidance on what to do about this SDG micro project. And we're extremely grateful. Some of them are also present here. I see them in the audience, to our mentors who were willing to participate in this project this year. We had an amazing, width of people who were happy to pitch in and be paired with one of our scholars as a mentee. We had people, professionals in the field of sustainable energy, of corporate social responsibility, social entrepreneurship, but also, for example, the World Bank Group was also represented, so International Development Corporation, and it was really a great mix. Also professors, academia was represented, and you were paired up according to your backgrounds. And with this, I would like to also hear from you about this mentoring experience. And I'm not sure if Marcia is yet participating in the event, but in any case, I would like to turn to David, because he is one of the Global Citizen Scholars from Ghana. And he was paired with our dear board member, Marcia, as his mentor. And I would like to hear from you, David. How was this experience of being a mentee and working together with your mentorship? What did it bring for your SDG micro project, and how did it really elevate you in pursuing this, this undertaking? Over to you, David.
Thank you very much, Viola, for this opportunity. And I think first, before I go ahead with the submission, I also want to say thank you to the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens for this opportunity. And it was really exciting to be part of this program. And I remember very well my first meeting with Marcia. I had my agenda prepared just not to miss any second of that meeting because I was in for business. Marcia was really nice to me. And she told me that she just doesn't want us to meet every week or all the time because the center wants us to, but she wants us to get something good out of this meeting and out of this cooperation and mentorship. And so I did take advantage of that, she said, to make sure that at every meeting, I'm going to make good use of it. But I faced one big challenge. Marcia is very busy. So to be able to overcome this challenge, I made sure that at the end of every meeting, I prepared and scheduled the next meeting and quickly follow up with a calendar invitation to make sure that she's already aware, as well as an agenda to make sure that we are already prepared for the next meeting, together with a reminder a couple of days and a day before the meeting to make sure that we are good with that. And to be honest, I think that this was the most fruitful part of my experience in this program, because for Marcia's thought, advice, corrections, and directions, I was able to modify my my SDG project. And even in the middle of it, as Viola, you might know, I faced a little challenge and I had to change everything afresh. And Marcia was really, really graceful and very helpful in this. And so again, I would just like to say thank you so much for this opportunity. And it was really, really a great experience to be part of this. And thanks to Marcia as well.
Thank you so much, David. That's so nice to hear. And I'm sure that many of your fellow scholars share that experience. It's always great. These mentorship relationships are so valuable for young professionals. I speak from experience. It's nice to see that this relationship has flourished during these past 6 months. Marcia, I've learned that she has some laptop difficulties. So unfortunately, we have to kind of, go to the next part of the program. But once she's back in, we'll let her speak as well about her experience as mentor, because a mentor and mentee relationship is always mutually beneficial. So definitely want to hear about that as well. Thanks, David, for the meantime. To move on to your amazing SDG micro projects. From 17 scholars, we got 17 SDG micro projects. And as you can see, the focus areas are very different. Of course, we know that the SDGs they're all equally important, but it is also clear that everyone has their specific passion. And it's always interesting to us to see who is interested in what and what is like the focus area for each of our cohorts. We've so far had experiences with cohorts from Latin America, for example. They were very much focusing on the topic SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Interestingly, in this cohort, that was the SDG that was least touched upon. But instead, of course, we see a very strong focus on the topic SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities, but also SDG 1, no poverty, 3, well-being and good health, quality education, gender equality, and also climate action is very, very popular in this group. Very interesting, very broad range, and just looking into all of your SDG micro projects was very inspiring because they all just range, as Monica has already spoken about, they're all so different and still so on point with the topics. It's very great to see that happening. Now, what we of course would like to also showcase today in this ceremony is your SDG micro project. And thankfully, all of you have submitted a video pitch about your SDG micro project. And we've looked into these video pitches, and what we've received was really amazing. And we would love to show each and every one of your video pitches. But we also know that time is short. So we have selected 4 amazing video champions that we want to stream today with the audience, and want to really get to know their SDG micro projects in more depth. And these video champions, I'm happy to announce, this is Sharon, Dorcas, David, and Kayla. And we will go through their SDG micro project video pitches one by one. And I have my colleague Caro to stream these video pitches. And I would say, let's just go right into it. Let's start with the video pitch of Sharon. Here we go.
Have you ever noticed the change in temperature when you're moving from a city to a rural or a peri-urban area? Ever wondered why that happens? Currently, half of the world population live in cities, and it's projected to increase to 68% in 2050. The urbanization process has turned most of the urban natural surfaces to built areas, with up to 75% being impermeable pavements. These pavements are compact and they absorb a lot of heat due to low reflectivity, causing urban heat islands, an occurrence where urban areas are warmer compared to the surrounding rural areas. In extreme cases, urban residents may suffer heat waves, in turn deteriorating not only their health, but the environment at large. These pavements also have low infiltration rates, causing urban floods during rainy seasons. In line with SDG 11 and 13, Ecotopia has developed permeable paving blocks for low traffic areas. This is to reduce the urban heat island effect and enhance the thermal comfort of urban residents. So, why our paving blocks? They have large air voids that promote soil-air heat exchange, reducing the near surface temperature by 2 degrees Celsius. They also have an average infiltration rate of 15 meters per hour, which is good for urban stormwater and flood management. The good news is that this water can be channeled to reservoirs for recycling and later use. Ecotopia comes from the words ecology and utopia to mean an ecologically ideal place.
I really like the fact that they are versatile and they can be tailor-made to suit a client's need and preference.
I like the fact that it will solve this environmental challenge we have of urban heat islands. So meaning that the temperatures in the urban centers are going to be much cooler. And also the permeability, it's a better solution than what we have, because the blocks we have nowadays, they don't permit water and heat to pass through.
I think it's amazing that the permeable slabs solve the issue of stormwater management. The high infiltration rate of the permeable slabs guarantee flood management in urban areas.
Join me in making our cities sustainable for all the urban residents. Let's all rise for climate justice.
Applause for Sharon and her amazing project Ecotopia. Very well done and very interesting, and so nice how you really managed to open this topic to us. And you know, I've never heard about this solution, but it really sounds like a very practical solution to deal with flooding and with rising temperatures due to climate change and the extreme weather results that are resulting from climate change. Thank you so much, Sharon, for that. I would like to move on to Dorcas Nyamanya from Kenya and hear her video pitch. So over to Dorcas to hear about her SDG micro project.
My name is Dorcas Nyamanya from Kenya. Meet Maria, a 27-year-old lady from Korogosho slum, the third largest in Kenya. She is a single mother of 6 children, and she's constantly burdened with high cost of living, which makes it difficult for her to keep her children in school. Maria's livelihood depends on casual jobs, which are hard to come by since COVID-19. As a rape survivor, I founded Zolani Women of Hope, a CBO that empowers disadvantaged girls and young women through a flexi training model and leadership development. Through access to mentorship, expertise and financial support from the Ban Ki-moon Global Citizen Program, we have been able to empower 10 women through a pilot training on soap making and continuous mentorship. 8 out of 10 women have started and successfully running their businesses. Due to the economic and social impact this training has had on women, children and their husband, we are seeking funding of $16,330 to help us set up a model training center to empower 250 women in the year 2023, as the key driver of growth and sustainable development, which will lead to the realization of the UN SDG goals, SDG number 1, number 5, number 8, number 10, number 11, and number 17.
Big applause to Dorcas. Sorry, I was muted. Well done, really well done. Very a concrete example of women's empowerment through these capacity building trainings. Just really, I'm always so inspired when I see these video pitches. It's so nice to see this and all your action, and it really paid off, all of your time investment that went into these projects. Really well done. So with that, I would like to come to David. We've already heard from you, David, but we also want to show your pitch to the audience. David from Ghana, let's give it up for him and hear about his SDG micro project.
We need to talk because it's everywhere. In Nigeria, in Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, Congo, literally everywhere across the continent. With the extensive use of single-use plastics, unnecessary packaging, improper waste collection and management, lack of innovation, and irresponsible human behavior in the name of convenience, we face a serious environmental challenge that has a huge impact on nature, humans, and national development. But with our keen interest to be part of the solution, our research team at AFRISA brought leading stakeholders around the continent to discuss effective plastic waste management in Africa as part of our webinar series in 2022. We concluded in this report that knowledge sharing, localized and effective policies, education, research, innovation, and technology, top to down and down to top approaches, including grassroots and informal stakeholders, could help us to effectively control this pollution. As a follow-up, we introduced the Action Against Plastic Pollution in Africa, investigating plastic policies on the continent, a research project that seeks to 1. Examine the impact of plastic policies on public attitudes and behaviors to inform managerial strategies. 2. Build capacity for action. 3. Make relevant data publicly available, and to identify factors to develop a guide for developing and implementing feasible and effective policies in other African countries. This project became an SDG micro project that originated from the Ban Ki-moon Center's Global Citizen Scholarship Program, aiming to contribute to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. With this support, we undertook the project's first phase, which included capacity building workshop, preliminary workshops, literature review, administrative documentation, and some partnerships. So in the next 24 months, we are kicking off in Rwanda, and supports from partners and all stakeholders are all welcome. The challenge we face today with plastic pollution is as a result of human irresponsibility yesterday, and not the material itself. Join us as we take action against plastic pollution in Africa.
Another amazing pitch by our scholar, David. Big congratulations to you for your hard work invested into this pitch, but it really paid off, as I said. And it's also, you know, what we try to do with the Global Citizen Scholarships is also to kind of push our scholars kind of out of their comfort zone and come up with a video pitch, maybe something they've never produced in their lives. And that way they receive also the training and the learning by doing knowledge to produce such a beautiful pitch as was prepared by David. So last but not least, we also want to come over to Kayla De Leon from the Philippines, because she also delivered an amazing pitch that we want to share with our audience today. So I would like to just give it up for Kayla and her amazing pitch.
For most people in developing countries, Europe is a mecca, a sort of utopia where opportunities are plenty, especially if you're willing to work hard. But look a little closer and you'll find that in reality, things aren't as perfect as they seem. Because much like other so-called third world regions, Europe has its problems too, and among them is gender inequality, which, honestly, I was surprised to learn of. Of the more than 6.7 million people holding a managerial position in the EU, only 2.5 million of them, or a mere 37%, were women. In 2019, females accounted for only 28% of board members of publicly listed companies, and only 18% occupied a senior executive role. And while 52% of Europe's population consists of women, only 30% of these women are entrepreneurs. Which is quite disheartening, given the many doors that entrepreneurship opens. Besides allowing people to forge careers fully aligned with their beliefs, it also gives them autonomy, leadership experience, and the chance to build a beneficial network. The lack of female presence in entrepreneurship isn't surprising though, considering the many challenges that women face in the business world. From gender-based discrimination to stereotypes, societal expectations and microaggressions, they're forced to deal with problems that their male counterparts never encounter. Another huge challenge is the absence of role models. According to Bev Hurley, the founder of the organization Enterprising Women, one of the barriers to startups is a lack of role models. That's what women say. They feel very alone. But they can be inspired by hearing about or seeing somebody like them, not a superstar who has already made a go for it. This is exactly why I created FoundHer. With this podcast, I hope to give female startup founders, entrepreneurs, and business leaders from my adopted country of Austria a platform to share their experiences, insights, and advice to those considering following the path they took. Hearing their stories will hopefully inspire other young women, empowering them and driving them to become entrepreneurs or business leaders in their own right. I started FoundHer back in August, and have since connected with so many amazing women, some of whom you'll hear from in this podcast. There's Dagmar, who started her company after learning the negative words that pregnant women are bombarded with while in the process of giving birth. There's Amel, who built a platform that helps people build portable businesses that are aligned with their priorities, needs, and lifestyle. There's Lola, who wants to make online shopping and e-commerce green again, as well as Judith, who started developing a line of sustainable baby products while dealing with 2 hyperactive toddlers. And there's Lena, who's using technology to change the narrative around menstruation and women's well-being. These 5 are just the tip of the iceberg. Across Austria are hundreds, if not thousands, of women whose incredible stories must be told. FoundHer began as a small project for the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens, but it has grown into something so much more. With over 100 downloads and a sizable audience, it's now become a movement where female entrepreneurs, startup founders, and business leaders share their unique journeys and the challenges they overcame to get to where they are today. I hope you're as excited as I am to bring this podcast to a bigger audience.
Huge applause to Kayla and her amazing podcast, FoundHer. Really inspiring, and all the connections that you've made. I'm sure they will be so valuable throughout your life. I can see you smiling, so very, very well done. Really great work. I do want to try to see if Marcia can join us and speak as well. Let's try it. Marcia, can you hear us and can you speak? Because then it would be nice to hear from you. No? Oh no, we can't.
She can hear us, but she can't speak.
That's so unfortunate. We would love to hear from you. We will try to figure it out in the meantime. So maybe we can check on that later. Very sorry about that. But in the meantime, I would like to really also speak to our amazing video pitch champions and hear from them and their experience and learn from them a little bit more beyond the video pitch that they've submitted and that already has convinced us to support them, right? So I welcome to the floor David, Kayla, Dorcas, and Sharon, if she's with us. Let's see if she can join as well on the stage. But I will just go ahead and start with Dorcas. Thank you so much for joining us. Dorcas, really such an amazing pitch. Thank you so much for investing so much hard work into this. I would like to ask you what it is that really gives you the daily inspiration and motivation to be a change maker for the SDGs. What is it?
Okay, thank you. What really makes me to just wake up and still continue to do what I'm doing is the experiences that I've lived with and the experiences that I've seen in the society. This really pushed me to try to change just a life. My mantra is just I change one life as I move on. So that is what really makes me to, sometimes it gets tough. It's not an easy journey, but there's this thing that pushed me that if I could change one life, then I could have made a better life for someone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dorcas. And I also, you also produced you were part of an interview recently. And I watched it and it was so inspiring and it really gave me goosebumps. Maybe you can share the link in the chat so that our audience can also see it and have access to it. That would be wonderful. No, I can totally relate and really, yeah. I can see it from your video pitch that you are one of these amazing change makers. So really, really cool and really well done. Thank you for your ambition and leadership. Maybe Kayla, what is it for you that gives you this daily motivation to be a change maker for the SDGs?
Sure. So can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, sorry, I'm doing this interview from school because I had a class before this. But yeah, so to answer your question, my motivation is perhaps a bit smaller than Dorcas. Back home, I have a younger cousin. She's 12 years old. And I also have 2 godchildren, and they're 3 and 1 year old respectively. And I don't know, like for me, I just want to make sure that they're going to live in a world where they're considered equal, and where they can be confident in knowing that their hard work will pay off, a world where they don't have to worry about their gender preventing them from taking advantage of opportunities that their male family members or even male friends have access to. And also for me, I want them to know that even though the world feels so chaotic right now with all these geopolitical tensions, these climate issues, etc., I want them to know that it doesn't feel so hopeless, because there are people all around the world, people like us, even kids as young as them, who are working hard and fighting hard to make sure that this chaotic world isn't what they know. So yeah, that's my motivation.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, definitely. Thinking about the future generations is definitely a driving factor for many of us. So very good point. Thank you so much for your motivation and for your passion to be such a change maker. Very, very good to hear that. Very good to have you on board. Sharon, how about you?
Well, thank you very much. Greetings to everyone from Kenya. My name is Sharon. I'm an spatial planner, basically doing landscape and urban planning by profession. And currently I'm pursuing my master's here in Kenya with a focus on urban climate research. And urban heat island is an emerging research field currently. And it's actually basically from the high rate of urbanization globally, hence my interest in that line of urban research. So as Ecotopia from the videos you saw, our utopian dream is to actually create a seamless urbanization nature harmony while trying to contribute towards climate change mitigation. So just being able to raise awareness on urban heat islands and also creating resilient strategies for the urban population is really what drives us as a team. Well, I will say as a team because I have a team of at least 5 and we're all still just young professionals. And I'm actually grateful and so happy that through this scholarship, I was able to join the Bodo Summer School, which directly touches on my micro SDG project on sustainable African cities. So I believe Africa needs a voice, and together with the many change makers globally, I'm motivated to stand in that gap and promote and achieve a sustainable future. Thank you very much.
Very cool, very hands-on. Nice, thank you so much, Sharon. David, what is it for you that makes you wake up in the morning and feel like I have to do something for the SDGs today?
Thank you very much, Viola. I think we really have to appreciate you for your support throughout this season. And I think for me, what motivates me a lot is sometimes it gets really frustrating getting to know that 2030 is that close than we think. And that is sort of the imaginary line we have created for ourselves to be able to attain the Sustainable Development Goals. And sadly, every day is sort of a reduction of that time. So it keeps reminding you that time is close. And for my projects especially, getting to know that people actually rely on it, the result and the impact it's going to make. It's people are going to depend on that. That wakes me up every time, and seeing that enthusiasm from the team that I've been able to put together also encourages me a lot to go out there and keep doing what we do. Thank you.
Very, very inspiring. And yes, it's for me, I have to say this, for me, it's like you guys, like hearing you and hearing about your motivation, that is what makes me get up every morning. So really, thank you so much for giving us, the Ban Ki-moon Center team, but also I'm sure our partners from MCI, from Bodo, all of this, from RELX, all of this inspiration every day, and seeing the, the change that you make happen is really beautiful. So I'm also curious to hear maybe about your experience working on your SDG micro projects. I would like to hear from all of you. What is the most significant thing that you've learned during this process of implementing your SDG micro project? What is the thing that you really take away and you're like, oh yeah, wow, that's really something I've learned? Sharon, how about you?
Thank you, Viola. Well, I think I have learned quite a lot, and maybe for now I'll highlight maybe about 3 of my key takeaways. So one is that any project has to serve a purpose. So through applying a design thinking process, you're able to understand the challenge from the user's perspective and develop probably a prototype and test it with the target population. This is because the feedback is helpful in shaping either the project or the business model, including maybe the product design for our case. Sorry?
Go
ahead. Okay. All right. So maybe in our case, like the feedback helped us redesign our product and also determine our costs. And we were lucky to even register it as a startup now. And secondly, I think my takeaway was that product development is a dynamic process and it's quite iterative. It involves a lot of progressive refinement as time goes by, depending on the emerging technologies and what really we want to address in the community. And lastly, and I think this was my main takeaway, is that mentorship and teamwork is really essential. I believe that achieving urban sustainability really requires a collective effort. And our mentor here, Amina Taladia from World Bank Group, really played a key role in this, and we really are grateful for her. She gave us new opportunities. Also, we actually tried to redefine it, our product and our project, not only towards SDG 11 and 12, but now we're trying to align it to SDG 7 on sustainable cooling, and that was quite an insightful opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharon, for these very concrete examples on project management that you've learned. And yes, definitely, these micro projects really serve for you to try something out and test it, and then, you know, figure out and also make sure that it, you know, that it meets the purpose. So thank you for also highlighting this purpose component of your SDG micro project. Dorcas, what would it be for you that you've really taken away from this SDG micro project experience?
Oh, thank you. One thing that I learned is that you don't really have to do it alone. I've met with people who have come in to give their support. Matters when we are having menstrual hygiene awareness, I was able to get people who came in handy to really help. And even currently, we are talking about partnership with one of the Ban Ki-moon scholars, David, as we move on to set up a center for training. We are thinking of incorporating cycle economy training. So this is something that I've really learned, and many thanks to my mentor, Dr. Blaine. He really helped me, you know, through powerful questioning. I was able to see that I could even couple this with a research. I'm currently working to publish what I've done on the project. And this is something that I've really learned. And just to mention, sometimes you start something that you're not so sure how it's going to turn out. And it will be good for me to mention that out of the 10 women, 2 of them were like, with this kind of training that I've had, I'd rather move back to the village and start doing something for myself. This really struck me because it's not easy to get someone moving from the urban to the rural. So I'm so motivated and encouraged to even set up a training center in the rural Kenya, because it is going to help people not to move to the city thinking that they're going to get a source of income. They can even get it wherever they are. So partnership is key. That's something that I learned. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. I can totally relate, and thank you for highlighting the importance that you're never alone, and that it's important to talk to each other and to forge these partnerships so that you can get to another level. And I'm glad everything worked out with your mentor as well. That's wonderful to hear. So yeah, well done. Kayla, what would it be for you that you've kind of learned throughout this project?
Yeah, so I had a similar takeaway from Dorcas. I learned that projects that strive to make a difference in the community won't be possible without the community's help. So for me, I really saw that my podcast wouldn't have been successful had it not been for the support of the NCI, various stakeholders here in Tirol, and even my classmates. I remember we would attend parties and my classmates would literally be talking about my podcast to the people at a party, which was quite funny, but also really like heartwarming. And yeah, so I think that was the only reason why my podcast made such a huge impact, was because people around me went out of their way to make sure that it did. And also, like, just one last thing, another takeaway that I had is that women in these powerful positions, entrepreneurs, business leaders, etc., this is such an overlooked topic, even though there are so many stories that need to be told. And I was really grateful that I had the chance to do this, to hear these stories for this podcast.
Yeah, thank you for highlighting those stories. That's really very important and good to hear that there are these role models and, you know, people that you can follow on this path. David, what would it be for you? Last but not least, what did you take away from this experience managing your project?
Thank you so much, Viola. I think I totally agree with what Kayla, Sharon, and Dorcas have already said. They've literally mentioned everything. What I would just like to add to it is that don't be afraid to ask, because I feel like we live in a very special season, an era in time where there's a lot of information available. So I just want to follow up and say that thank you to everyone who supported us and could ask you questions when we were stuck, and you could support us with everything that we needed. But more specific to the project, since I was working more on plastic pollution, and it's a research on, the before, during, and after of policies and how, it's related to behavioral change. I also got to realize the big gap in policymakers, between policymakers, the grassroots, and how that is related to behavioral change. And we see that that's a big problem because lots of African countries have adopted policies, but there is a huge gap between the implementation and seeing it physically working than it's being tagged in papers and newspapers that these countries have adopted policies. So that's one thing that we saw in the preliminary research, and we saw that it's quite interesting. But aside this, I hope that it's going to be more interesting things in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, because you mentioned a very important point. It doesn't stop here, right? Things will go on and you will still be working on these projects and maybe scale them up in the future and learn additional things that you might have not known before. So this is really just the beginning. The GC Scholarship, the Global Citizen Scholarship, is here to kind of kick you off and then, just flourish and scale everything up to another level. But David, this is a perfect handover since you were the mentee of Marcia Baliciano. I would like to give her also the chance to speak to you and also react to your amazing ambitions as GC scholars. So over to you, Marcia. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. And I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Wonderful. First, apologies that I've been very technologically challenged with a failed laptop this afternoon. But I wanted to say thank you to all of the scholars because you are the future, and I feel inspired, but also encouraged that with you undertaking your projects, and I love the idea of engaging in partnerships, and in fact, the fact that RELX is supporting the Scholars Program for the Ban Ki-moon Center is a great example of partnership. You are doing great work, and I know, as Viola was just saying, picking up on David's point, that this is the beginning, not an end. And you now form part of an amazing alumni network to be able to stay in touch with one another and draw on those resources and the expertise, or just communicating with one another about the challenges and getting a bit of help along the way, because you can never have too much of that. But I was delighted to serve as a mentor to David. I learned more from David than he learned from me, that's for sure. But it was great, and I am so pleased on behalf of all of my colleagues at RELX. Alexis and I are just two of 33,000 plus people across our organization, and we'd like to share with them and with the outside world. We do that in our public reporting about the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens and this amazing program. So thank you to Viola for your organization, and of course to Monica for her incredible leadership. And please continue to reach out to us. And then I have a little favor to ask. We will put in the chat function, again, the link to the RELX SDG Resource Center. We're very excited. We've reached about 150,000 unique users this year of the site, and we're looking for stories that we can highlight about how you may have found that link to research and news about the SDGs of use in your projects, but also we hope that you will continue to visit the site as we continue to broaden that out with more content, more tools, and resources. So I think that's it from me, and thank you so much and for your patience with my technical challenges today.
No problem. We're so happy that you were able to make it. Thank you so much, Marcia, and also for highlighting this opportunity of the RELX Resource Center. Of course, this is also something that we definitely always stress to our scholars, to use this as a resource to get more knowledge and integrate more knowledge and expertise into their projects. This is a great tool, so I can only recommend everyone to check out the RELX Resource Center. Thanks so much, Marcia. At this stage, I would like to also say that, of course, we have 17 scholars, and not everyone can be shown today at this, or the video pitch can be shown today, but we do have a little special ceremony video so that we can really highlight and get a glimpse of each and every one of your projects. So I would like to give it up for the SDG Micro Project ceremony, just a bit of a highlight of each and every one of your SDG Micro Projects. So thanks, Caro, for turning that on, and enjoy. So yeah, these are all the amazing 17 SDG micro projects, 17 goals, 17 SDG micro projects. Congratulations to you all. I've been following the chat. Everyone is very excited and congratulates you. So it's a beautiful moment to really celebrate all of your work. But we do have a special speech today also by our dear scholar, Benedicta Apuama. So I would like to ask her to the floor and also deliver her remarks on behalf of all Global Citizen Scholars as our scholar reflection and valedictorian speech. So over to you, Benedicta, for your remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Permit me to stand on existing protocols. My name is Benedicta Apuama. I'm the founder of Girls for Development Goals Foundation, and I am a Ban Ki-moon scholar studying at the MCI. Like every other scholar here, I had a dream to change the world. How, you may ask? Firstly, I wanted a master's degree in an internationally recognized university and to study a subject that will bridge my background in health and my passion for the UN SDGs. And the Ban Ki-moon Scholarship gave me all of that and more. For Shalom Bekele from Ethiopia, his dream is to recycle waste to generate energy and income, while Keola, a PhD student from Morocco, is concerned about efficient waste management using technologies. As for Emmanuel from Ghana, his heart beats after increasing food production through biochar and biochar co-composting as an attempt to manage agricultural waste. Alemu from Ethiopia cares about reducing graduate unemployment through raising awareness and equipping young people with skills suited for the labor market. Ismail, who is also from Ethiopia, is working to reduce child pedestrian injuries through education, advocacy, youth and children inclusiveness. Esther is promoting climate-friendly cooking. David, plastic waste management, and Anna from Ghana is passionate about the management of household waste. Kayla and I are both studying at the Management Center Innsbruck in Austria. And Kayla's project, which you already learned about, called Found Her, advocates for gender equality through podcasts and conversation. The impact of the war in Ukraine actually motivated my project. Refugee women have worse sexual reproductive health outcomes than those of the host population. Also, religious and social cultural factors deter refugee women from accessing or applying sexual reproductive health information or knowledge. My project idea was to create conversations with these women and their social worker and to debunk the myths around the topic, which is in line with the 2014 WHO framework for ensuring human rights in the provision of contraceptive information and services. I worked with women from the Iglis camp in Innsbruck as it plays host to only women, refugees, and their children. I gained some insights about how the refugee camps in Innsbruck are organized, the very important role social workers play, especially in their access of healthcare services. The camp is located up the hill in the woods, so climbing up and down the hills during my visits was a part of my learning experience. It was interesting to learn from the different unique situations of each woman and how much of sexual reproductive health services they have accessed since they arrived at camp. I also will be working on the same topic for my master's thesis and will continue to advocate for women and children, women and girls to access sexual reproductive health services irrespective of their status or culture. We live in a world of interconnectivity, you will agree with me, and this underscores the establishment of the United Nations and other world organizations like the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, the World Trade Organizations, etc. Thus, my fellow scholars and I are grateful for the opportunity given us to upgrade our knowledge in our chosen fields. We are equally grateful to the Ban Ki-moon Global Citizens Leadership Partners, the University of Bordeaux, RELEX for broadening our knowledge on the interconnectedness of the SDGs, and the programs offered at the MCI for giving Kayla and I the opportunity to study in a world-class university where the motivated is mentored. To the Ban Ki-moon Center for Global Citizens, the CEO, Monica Frohle, the program staff, Viola, and to the co-chair, His Excellency Ban Ki-moon and His Excellency Heis Fischer, thank you. Thank you for giving us a voice and for giving wings to our dreams. I would like to end my speech by telling you a story. It's the story of a man, an anthropologist, who was studying the customs of the Zulu tribe in South Africa. During his field work, he was mostly surrounded by children, so he decided to engage the children in a game. His idea was to examine the cultural networking of the Zulu people. So he got candies, put them in a well-decorated basket at the foot of a tree. The instruction for the children was to have a race, and whoever got to the tree first will have the whole basket of candies to him or herself. The children lined up, and when it was time to run, they held each other's hands. They ran together, they arrived at the tree together, and shared the candies amongst themselves. Stunned, the anthropologist asked them why they behaved in that manner. And they replied, Ubuntu, meaning togetherness in humanity. In other words, how can any of us be happy if all the others are sad? Today, in front of all of you, especially my fellow scholars, I say, Ubuntu. How can any of us tackle climate change without holding each other's hands? How can we achieve gender equality, zero hunger, and sustainable development without holding our hands and those of other young people across Africa, Asia, Europe, the Americas, and Oceania? On behalf of my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you profusely for bringing us together, and together we will navigate the challenges of our Mother Earth. Ubuntu, Ubuntu, Ubuntu. Thank you.
Applause. I'm speechless. And I have tears in my eyes. Thank you so much, Benedicta, for this inspiring speech and for telling us this story that is just perfect, just the perfect match for this ceremony and this Global Citizen Scholarship. Thank you so much for summing it up so well and so gracefully. Thank you so much, Benedicta, for your words. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're not done yet, but almost. We do want to give you this extra kick of wow, because we have a product of one of our SDG micro projects from Mana City Omar from Kenya that we would like to share with you as our SDG micro project spotlight. Mana City Omar produced a storytelling campaign on raising awareness on Maasai women and the challenges in Kenya that they're facing due to climate change. And I would like to showcase her video today that she produced as part of her SDG micro project, as part of her awareness raising campaign, because it shows us all what amazing products and outputs can come out of these SDG micro projects. So over to Mana City Omar's video. Thank you so much.
My name is Mana Omar. I am the daughter of a pastoralist, and here is my story. My community and other pastoral communities in Kenya have been experiencing prolonged droughts year after year, causing high livestock mortality and hence poverty. Living in the most marginalized areas, communities like mine lack knowledge of the climate crisis and also representation or inclusion in important climate decision-making spaces. I joined activism as a result, to be the voice of the unheard pastoral communities. I have lived the experience. I have witnessed the loss of not only our livestock, but culture and identity. It really pains me to see my people who've preserved and lived in harmony with biodiversity suffer such great consequences while being the least responsible for the climate crisis. I have also founded a non-profit known as Spring of the Arid and Semi-Arid Lands, which works with pastoral communities for their improved climate resilience. While the whole of my community is affected by the climate crisis, women are disproportionately affected. I work closely with these women by training them on climate change, advocacy and alternative livelihoods, as well as telling their stories and amplifying their plight. Despite all the social injustices these women face, like gender-based violence, unpaid increased labor, walking long distances to fetch dirty water, diseases, hunger and animal attack, they can still afford a smile and only have nothing else but hope to cling to. If you'd like to help us build resilience in these communities, please get in touch with the details appended.
So as you can see, this is what can be the result of an SDG micro project. And I think I've, it just gives me goosebumps. I don't know about you, but this is really just the work that we love to see. Mana, amazing job, really well done. Unfortunately, I know your connection is not so good today, so otherwise I would give you the floor, but we will hear instead from Monica to also react to these SDG micro projects and share your final words and closing words for today's ceremony. Over to you, Monica.
My dear global scholars, actually not much more has to be said, but Ubuntu. Thank you so much, Benedicta, for giving us that phrase. But let us fill this phrase concretely for us as a last thing for tonight and for today with your wishes. I do want to know your Ubuntu wishes for 2023. So please, all of you who have access to the keyboard, type into the chat what your Ubuntu wish for 2023 is. And it might be connected to your SDG micro project, might be connected to your family, might be connected to a job, a university, whatever you think of in the sake of Ubuntu. What do you want for 2023? Give us your wishes. And this will be, hopefully, as we are in spirit together. Can I already see wishes in the chat? Not yet. One wish has come through. Give me your wish. What are your wishes? And everyone, Marcia, join us. Katrin, please join us. Viola, Katre, Carol, if you have wishes, of course, you're free to amplify your voices. Empower 250 women through flexi training. Ubuntu. Yes, thank you, Dorcas. That's a good one. We know it. Who else is already coming through? Continue Found Her to reach a bigger audience. Yes, Kayla, let's do that. More than 100. Definitely multiply that with your good content. What else is coming through? Wish for 2023. Keep them coming. More motivated and fearless people like you, scholars. Amplifying unheard voices. Ubuntu, thank you, Mana. Brilliant. Do we get something else? Who else is still with us? Create a campaign to highlight all of your amazing work and raising your voices. Comes from the Ban Ki-moon Center team. Thanks to the entire team comes from. It's been an amazing journey. Double the amount of content on the RELX SDG Resource Center and continuing to support this incredible program. Thank you, Marcia, for your wish for 2023. Well, with this, I hope you keep them coming. But with this, dear scholars, I wish you all the best for staying connected, staying in touch, and working away on the SDGs in the spirit of Ubuntu. It was a privilege and pleasure to get to know you. Please don't be strangers. Stay in touch with us. We want to stay in touch with you. And do continue your amazing work that you have kickstarted together. Thank you so much for being part of this, and all the best to you for 2023 and beyond. And I think, Viola, we are still wanting a picture with all of you.
We would love a group picture with all of you. So everyone, please turn on your cameras. If you can, that would be wonderful. We would love to see you so that we can have a beautiful group picture to memorize this significant moment. I'm just going to wait for everyone to turn on their cameras and get ready for our group picture. Let's see if we can see some more. I know the connection for some of you is not so good, so it's absolutely fine. Please don't worry. Perfect. I can see one more. Ismail, nice to see you. Anna, great. And I think with that, we can go ahead. Katra, I would give you the honor to take the picture, please.
Of course. Yes, so we have a tradition of getting a few snapshots. So we'll start with the lovely smiling cheese to the camera on 1, 2, 3. Perfect. And then we want one where we're all moving. So we usually wave around, or you can make hearts or whatever you please, but just to have like some sort of action since we're not in person. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Thank you. Super. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Katra. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, dear scholars, thank you so much for joining this closing ceremony today. Thank you to the mentors who joined in. Thank you to our amazing partners for contributing your expertise, but also your support to this amazing program. We are excited to see it growing in 2023 and further impact more communities and build more communities of change makers. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks to the Ban Ki-moon Center for the support, to the team. And with that, I would like to close today's ceremony. Thank you very much, and all the best to everyone. Merry Christmas if you celebrate, and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.